But it took me about 6 months to get my first gig. After starting the role, within about, I think, maybe 2-ish months, I got to know
Hmm.
that, I was going to be, let go from the team.
How was that phase when you were like looking for a job, because you graduated and obviously it was the worst time of the year because nobody was hiring at that time. So
Judy, honestly, I think, lost is the best word I can describe when I graduated. I haven't even had an actual hiring manager round up until then, since I stepped in the US. And I'll tell you why.
mm,
Initially, I was shy, but then I realized that in America, being shy doesn't work. It doesn't get you anywhere.
on Instagram and on YouTube, people
Oh.
don't show that they are crying and they are lonely and they are facing rejection. They only show they have Tesla and they are going on this amazing trip. So that's why I asked you that question, because people know like this is going to happen to them. Before you watch this, I just want to say that if you're planning to come to United States, you have to crack F1 visa interview, and that is going to be the most important interview of your life, because that can change your life. And guess what? Many students get rejected because they don't understand what visa officers are thinking and how are they making that decision. To solve this problem, I made the ultimate F1 visa course with a visa officer who served in Mumbai consulate and Delhi consulate for 5 years. She approved and denied more than 40,000 visas. So she knows and understands how visa officer is thinking, what they think about approving and denying. I'll give you a quick sneak peek. Here's what our course look like, and it is comprehensive. Each sessions are like long. There is DS 160, entirely step by step process, preparing what did you have to do day before, day during, what to say, what not to say, what to wear, documents you need to take, what to expect at the interview, what is the successful criteria, if you had refusal, how to overcome that, what are the most common questions, how to answer finance related questions, mock interview, and bonus guides as well. Trust me, this is the most comprehensive F1 visa course that you will ever need to watch. So if you're interested, link is in the description. And now I'll let you enjoy the video. Thank you, Rahul, for doing this. Really means a lot. And I'm excited to talk about your journey because it's so different. And I'm also like thankful and grateful that you are okay to share your journey. So, but before we get started, let's do like a quick intro of who you are, where are you from, and what you do, and fun stuff.
Yeah, first of all, it's amazing to be here with you. I've only seen you on videos, so it's really a nice experience to talk to you in person, and I appreciate you for the
Yes.
invite. So, hi everyone, I'm Rahul. I'm a product manager, and I'm actually a recent Duke alum. I did my master's in engineering management from Duke University. A little bit of a backstory. I did my bachelor's in computer science in India, and I explored a couple of different options. I did a product internship in my final semester, which is how I got to learn and read more about product. But it was a marketing agency, so it's not like a typical product management at a tech company. However, again, it gave me the lens of a PM. And eventually, after graduating from undergrad, which was right when the pandemic happened in 2020, I decided that the way forward for me is to look for a product job, which at the time
Mm,
sounded bold, because in India, when I graduated, there are not a lot of big companies that were willing to take somebody as fresh out of college for a PM role.
mm,
But
mm,
I stayed my ground, and I eventually found a PM job at a startup called Climb.io, where
mm,
I led a HR SaaS product for recruiters. It was a recruiting experience platform,
mm,
specifically for recruiters, where I helped digitize a lot of manual workflows within the hiring process. I've also built features for different personas like hiring managers and candidate facing features as well. But eventually, after working as a PM, that's how I realized I wanted to bridge the business gap that I did not have with my technical background, which is how I decided to pursue my master's. Here I am right now, yeah, after graduating.
nice. Okay. Love it. Cool. And one of the things that interested me the most in your story, because I reached out to you and you're like, Yudi, let me send you a voice note. You send me the voice note, and I was like, this is even better,
Yeah.
because not many people like kind of talk about those things, and you're like, this is in a way like documenting your journey. So, if you want to share, like, I don't know, it's up to you, but if you want to share, like, what happened, you graduated, you got the job, and then what happened?
Right. So I graduated actually in May 23. So technically speaking, it's been 1 year. I was just looking at my juniors walking off the stage last week. So it was an amazing feeling, but it was also a stark reminder that, hey, it's been an effing year since you
Yeah.
graduated. So,
Right.
but yeah, my story, I've been looking for a job seriously from last summer, like June-ish. I was taking a lot of courses in my last semester, so I was not like full-time job searching. I finished my course in 3 semesters. But it took me about 6 months to get my first gig. Um, and then after starting the role within about, I think maybe 2-ish months, I got to know
Mm,
that, I was being, I was going to be, let go from the team.
mm,
So
mm,
it was really hard to navigate. I've still been looking ever since I heard that news in March. So
mm, yeah.
yeah,
And that's just recent, right? Like March 2024.
yeah, this year March actually. I started my job in Jan. So it was like, my life was. I finally thought that 2024 is going to be my year. I've had enough in 2023, but
Right, because you graduated May 2023, 6 months of job hunting, finally have a job, and then 2 months later you find out that, and then obviously now you're back into job hunting, and and a lot of time people send me DMs and like, why do you only talk about successful stories? I'm like, I want to talk about unsuccessful stories, but there needs to be people who are willing to come, and it's not something a lot of people are proud of and wanting to come front and share. So it takes a lot of courage. So I'm really again grateful that you are like willing to come and talk about this, because I think most people only see the positive sides. I want them to see like this is real, like you will go through this, and hopefully people can relate to what you are going through. So, like,
definitely.
what? Yeah, walk me through, like, what happened. Like, so 6 months. Like, what? How was that phase when you were like looking for a job? Because, uh, I mean, you graduated, and obviously it was the worst time of the year because nobody was hiring at that time. So, like, how did you like kept yourself going? That like, I don't have a choice. Like, I just have to keep going. Like, what was your thought process at that time? Before we move on to the next part, I want to quickly talk about that LinkedIn is very important when it comes to job search, and you want to optimize your LinkedIn before you come to United States or while you're looking for the job. And here is the 100-page guide that I built, and along with that I also have a course on LinkedIn. I'm going to give you a quick sneak peek of the 100-page guide. Feel free to check it out and let me know what you think. Here's the guide that I built, and you can see there's a lots and lots of screenshots and comments and strategies and how to apply and how to network and so on and so forth. And again, I know that LinkedIn is going to be your online resume. So if you want to check out, link is in the description. And now I'll let you enjoy the video.
Yeah, before I go into my journey within the first 6 months, actually, yeah, like I resonate with your thoughts around how people don't discuss enough of what happens behind the scenes, and the only things that we see are success stories. So, I mean, it's also relieving for me in a way when I talk about my story, when I share it. I hope that somebody
Hmm.
is going to be able to maybe, learn from it,
Relate to you.
relate to
Yeah.
me, because I know there's real people out there that's going through exactly what I'm going through. And there's so many sides to America that are not as glamorized as the success stories. But yeah, so I appreciate it. Going back to your main question around my journey and how it was, Yudi, honestly, I think, lost is the best word I could describe when I graduated. I wish
Hmm.
I enjoyed it so much. I wished I soaked it all in while I was graduating. I think I was always concerned about what next. That kind of kept me
Hmm.
haunting. But when I graduated, really, I think maybe I just had a couple of recruiter calls. I haven't even had an actual hiring manager round up until then, since I stepped in the US. And I'll tell you why.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because I started my program in spring of 2022. So what
Hmm.
that meant was I really did not have any experience looking for an internship or a job in the US.
Hmm. Hmm.
Like many of my
Because for summer you can't do internship because of the limitation, right? So you obviously didn't look for internship, you're just not eligible for it. And
exactly.
uh,
Legally, I
yeah.
cannot do anything. So all that I searched for was really within the campus, whether it was working for, a public policy school to kind of help revamp their website and things like that, which is so different. Like the hiring process for internal part-time jobs is so much different than what it happens in the corporate America and tech. So was confused to say the least, and at the time, the most important thing for me was, okay, where do I live next? That's where I was looking at, right? Like they say that your life is like, you look for first the most basic things in life, the food and the shelter,
Hmm.
and then you look for the next things, the comforts, and then you look for
Hmm.
bigger things
Hmm.
in life. So I realized that, okay, maybe it's best for me if I go stay with my cousins in Cleveland, Ohio,
Hmm.
because they're my
Hmm.
family. I can sort of navigate this emotionally better because I'm lost. So I was in Cleveland. Also, fun fact: over the last 1 year, I've been able to visit around 5 to 6 cities, which is maybe a good side of the job search, which
That's
is
the
exploring.
silver lining.
Right.
Yeah.
So as
And so the visiting the city is because of the interviews, or what, like?
Oh, no, no, no. It's, couch surfing in a way where I was able to like cut down on the rent, but also at the same time
Hmm.
have some emotional balance by being with the people that, I liked, I cared about, whether it's my friends or family. But
Hmm.
yeah, there I was in Cleveland, and that's when I actually started applying for jobs. My journey really initially was like many of the other people. I just applied directly. I kept hearing, "Oh, you need to apply like 50 jobs per day, or you're never gonna make it because there's people out there that are doing
Hmm.
it."
Hmm.
Um,
And sorry, I'm like stopping you, but like, from the timeline perspective, did you start applying after you graduated, or were you also applying at the last semester or year or a semester before?
So no, actually, maybe it's a good thing. Again, probably looking back at it in hindsight, I feel like you'll always be maybe a step ahead if you start applying earlier. I think maybe because that's when the layoffs were exactly happening in the beginning of 2023, end of 22. I just got back from my India trip and I started looking. I really couldn't find anything that was suiting my background, like not many. I did apply. Eventually, I got some recruiter calls, but not much that even led to an actual hiring round. So,
Hmm. And
yeah.
and so did you felt like, and I don't know if Duke allows this, but you completed 2 semesters. This is your final semester, and you are like, okay, I'm not getting calls. Did you Can you extend the master so that way you're still students and you're not going into that OPT phase, or you're like, no, I'm gonna graduate and just keep looking?
For sure. Great question. Again, I had that thought again because I had friends who were working who got offers from Amazon, but then most of them got like rescinded or like postponed, pushed
Hmm.
back by 6 months,
Hmm.
1 year. And that was the moment I thought, okay, maybe should I explore extending it? But at the same time, I did my pros and cons, and I was like, nobody really knew when it was going to get better. It's just like maybe the optimistic side in me that like blindly believes that someday it's going to get better. And I was
Yeah.
like, let me just like jump into the ocean and dive into it anyways, because there's no guarantee that if I stay back for 6 months, I'm going to walk out with an offer in hand.
Right.
So I,
Yeah.
I felt like, you really need to take this risk and get out. We had the option though at Duke, but we had to pay maybe like
Hmm.
another $8 to $10,000, so a little more than that.
Mm, mm,
But I was lucky because my RA, I was working as an RA resident assistant, sort of living and part time. Everything was super covered for me. I was also able to
mm,
work additional 20 hours besides being an RA, and I had all
mm,
these people who wanted me to stay back, and they gave me offers for the next semester to keep doing it. But
mm,
but it was me who uh, evaluated, and I was like, no, I think I'll just
mm.
graduate and
Yeah,
go
yeah.
back and
And we are gonna do your special story on Duke and like all of student journey in a separate video for people who might be curious. So we will be talking about that. But this one is, of course, yeah, like other story,
yeah,
the other end of the story. So and so I also want to deep dive onto like timeline. This is something a lot of people don't think about clearly. So let's say you graduated, what was your last day, like May 20, May 15th, around, right around that time, right? Now you have to pick a start date of your EAD,
Mhm.
because of course you're not gonna, like, you OPT, people just think that it's right from the last day of your, that's not true. Like, you get 60 days to pick the start date,
Mhm.
and then is when the 90 days of unemployment days will
Mm,
start.
mm,
So did you like pick the very end of it because you were like, I'm not getting called, so I'm just gonna maximize the 60 days? Or how did you like strategize that?
Absolutely. What you just said. Because I did not have any calls. Had I been through a couple of hiring rounds, maybe my perception or thought process would have been different. I would have chose a date that was closer to my graduation date. But because I did not have any calls, I tried to extend it as far as possible. And the 60-day after graduation is the maximum you can push it by. So I still remember, obviously, because I am on OPT, I have until July 14th. That's when it started. But hey, here's one more thing for students. I mean, I know that we're by the time you see this podcast, you, especially this batch 24 May, has already graduated. But if you're graduating next year, make sure to apply for the EAD card earlier.
I want to deep dive into this one thing that I think people don't pay clear attention to this. So you graduate May. In your case, obviously you graduated May. Let's pick a date, May 2023, May 20 as 2023, right? And then you start OPT. But for OPT, you need to apply for EAD, which is Employee Authorization Document. You It doesn't mean May 21st is your start date. You get
Mhm.
60 days to pick that date, and then you, from that 60 days, so in this case June and July 20 is will be your official, like, end of, like, that is when you have to start, and then the 90 days will start. So did you, in your case, because you were not getting interview calls and all, market was rough, did you just decide, strategize that, okay, I'm going to maximize 60 full days and then go from there, or like how did you strategize it?
Yeah, I pushed it to as much as I could, and so I definitely took the 60-day gap after my graduation date to put my start date for OPT.
What you're going to watch is an amazing story. But before you watch that, I just want to quickly say that all of these story, I compile the key insights from these stories and all the podcasts that I do. And I put this in my free exclusive newsletter community. Every week, more than 16,000 people receive my newsletter and they love it. And here are some of the examples you can see. This was a podcast on George Mason universities, and you can see how to network and 10% cold emailing, powerful LinkedIn techniques, and so on and so forth. So if you're interested in becoming part of this exclusive newsletter community, absolutely free. Link is in the description, or you can go to udj.com/newsletter. Yeah. And then, so obviously, in another thing that we were talking was that, uh, keeping in mind to apply early,
Yeah,
because obviously there are delays, and in your case, you kept the date, but like you kept the date of like July, but you still didn't receive the card until like August, so your days are counting from July. So if you have to start applying early for EAD cards.
right. Yeah, I would say definitely apply for it early. It's always beneficial if you have the card in hand, whether or not you choose to, start your job. It's always better to have it in hand. Like I have a friend right now who actually just graduated from Northeastern with an MS in computer science, and he almost has a verbal offer, but they said that they want somebody to like start by June 3rd, when his start date itself is like June 28th. And so he's missing out on that opportunity. Whether you want to push your, you know, date depends on your,
Employer, yeah.
yeah, your unique situation, but applying for the card early ensures that you have it in hand earlier.
Yeah, 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 yeah. 100%. I agree, and a lot of time I have personally seen students where, one of our subscribers, they had put the start date of like July 14th, 2023, but they did not get the card until like August 15th, even though they had the offer, like they had an offer to start like in July, like July 21st, but they were just not getting they didn't have the EAD card, and the company would not let them start without the EAD card.
Yeah,
So you had to lose that offer, and that sucks. If like you had an offer and you still can't do it
yeah,
because
that's
of the delay from USCIS, right? Yeah. Okay. Now back to the timeline. You graduated. Now you're like applying, and what worked for you? Like you obviously got some calls. So was it online application? Was it LinkedIn? Like from the timeline, was like what worked for you?
it's a mix of everything, Yudi, to be honest. But so far, if I have to think about my whole journey as a job searcher, um, I think that direct applications still yielded me. In fact, the job that I got at USAA was through a direct application. It was not a referral, but it's very much like the chances, if you talk about probability, is very less of getting a call back if you apply directly. Sure, there's like tactics that you can use to ensure that, to increase those chances. Maybe like I was applying through LinkedIn too, and that to answer your question. But I also had, I did not just rely on direct applications. As soon as I found out that it was not working, um, I think I was kind of lost around June last year,
Mm,
because I did
mm,
apply whatever I could in May and even, until like mid June, and I really
mm.
saw that nothing was working, and I was just like getting these auto rejection emails. And so I thought, how do I keep my sanity? Which is when I decided to like meet people, connect with people. When I say people, these are like product folks, product leaders, directors of product. Um, I am happy to go into that, if you're interested.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's how,
Let's go. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So I think coming from Duke, if there's one thing, it's the alumni. Whenever you look for a job on LinkedIn, it always shows that, yeah,
Mm.
like 16 alumni work here, and so there's always a way for you to like go ping them. I
Mm.
saw that spirit is more in the US. I don't think it really is that much in India, where the alumni sort of relationship. But
Yeah, and even in US, like some university alumni network is not as strong as Duke. Like I feel like Duke has a very good, strong, like senior and alumni network where they know what people have gone through, so they are willing to give back. At least that's what I've noticed, but I don't know.
right, again, for me, I really was seeking guidance. I was like, what the hell is happening? Let me at least talk to these people who are in like a director level product position to understand what's happening to product management. Am I, even like desirable according to their lens? Because they probably, might have hired other product people, or they have direct reports. And yeah, I used Duke Alumni database, and I was looking at. I think I had like some filters around like locations or companies and things like that.
And this is all on LinkedIn. So you went on LinkedIn.
So,
No.
so actually, sometimes on LinkedIn, if I had come across a job at a company where I was matching the profile, then you also see alumni. So I would like shoot them, whether it's a connection request or in mails. If I have those credits, I would shoot those messages. But if not, there was this particular, I think maybe like a week, where I kind of, it was like a hackathon for myself, where I was like, let me go all in, go into Duke alumni database. This is not LinkedIn, Duke alumni database. It's like specific to Duke students. We can access that database. I'm sure every college has its own alumni database,
Okay. Yeah.
where you still can see all alumni, where where they are working right now, what they studied when they were at Duke, and things like that. And
Mm.
you also have filters like, what teams they're working in, or you can just filter by the title as well, like director of product.
Oh wow. Okay.
In that one week, I think I spammed so many people. I was like, hey, I'm Rahul. I just graduated from Duke, and I'm looking for a PM role. I have this background. I would love to chat with you. So I just went in with the mindset of like not like expecting that I would get a job, but really like
Referral. Yeah. Yeah.
referral. If it goes well, yeah, that's like the ideal scenario. But if not, at least like it's a great
Yeah,
thing.
yeah. I meant like you didn't go with the mindset of like getting a referral. It was just like I just want to talk to someone so I can understand like
Exactly.
how things work. Yeah,
It's literally like
yeah.
I think I am a social person and I'm wired. My DNA is really like that. So if you put me in isolation duty, I'm gonna die. Like if you put me in this room, I like my own silence. Sometimes like I am an ambivert. I like a nice
Mm,
sort of balance of
mm,
being with myself, but also like you cannot
yeah,
just keep me alone on this
yeah.
journey. This first of all, job searching itself is very isolating once you're out of school
Mm,
because now you're not
mm,
with peers anymore. You're by yourself,
mm.
and that's why I thought this was a nice way for me. Just like how you're doing podcasts, right? You're learning from
Yes.
people. That was the mindset
Yeah.
for me. Imagine, I in
Mm,
fact had a
mm,
thought where I was like, what if I recorded these things and I kept these as a podcast? That would be a nice series.
mm.
But
That would be,
that
yeah,
was a
yeah.
thought.
So tell me like how the conversations went with these seniors, and how many kind of people responded. Say so you, I'm assuming you did a cold emails or LinkedIn messages,
Yeah.
and it was pretty much like what you said, like, hey, I'm this, I would love to chat, and it's purely that. And then how many people responded, and what was the conversation you were having with them?
Again, you know, there were 40% of like chances that
Yeah,
they would
like 4
reply.
out of 10 people, like if you send 10 people, 4 people
Four
might
people.
respond to you.
Yeah.
And then maybe out of 4, like 1 or 2 might actually get on a call with you.
Exactly. Yeah, four people will respond, and then and when I really look back, even though I like so far, I can say that I was able to chat last year with about like maybe like 40 to 50 Duke alums, but in total like around 70, 80 people, not just Duke alums, including other peers that I met on LinkedIn, connections, networking. Um, but like of these Duke people, though the numbers like in 40s, I think now that if I have to like just choose one or two mentors, it's like one or two people, like you know, and those are the
Yeah.
people that kind of matter. And we don't even regularly meet up, but it's like we meet up maybe once in a month or once in 2 months. And I also asked them in calls about their journey, how they got into product, and that's when I saw that product today is nothing like. There was no buzz around product. People did the same job, but they did not have the title of product manager, for
Yeah, yeah,
instance.
yeah. And if they are that old, you probably also, I mean, I'm assuming you also ask them like, how does hiring work, and like, what do you look for product managers in your team, and then that gives you an idea of like, okay, this is how I have to focus on and navigate my journey.
Mhm. Definitely. Also, I take the feedback once I do my intro, and I'm like, "Do you have any feedback for me?" I think even as a PM, I always believe that feedback is your, it has to be your bread and butter before you do anything. Um, yeah, I always look for feedback when I
Hmm.
either showing.
Yeah, and yeah, and you said obviously you did the 1 week of hackathon of and found the link like alumni
Yeah.
from Duke, but then you also reached out to people on LinkedIn and
Mhm.
other communities.
Mhm.
And so, how did you find these people, or is it pretty much like you just like looked for product managers and then started DMing them?
Great question. Um, I think if I'm doing on LinkedIn, 99% of the time, it's usually when I find a role. I don't know if that's the best strategy. Ideally, you really should have a target list of companies like way before. And so you can like keep talking to people at those companies, maybe who are in roles that you want to be in. Let's say product
Mm.
managers. For me, it was mostly like, oh, today I found this job and that's really interesting. So let me like schedule this call. But with Duke Alums, it was really just like, okay, they are product leaders, and I just want to talk to them regardless of where they're working. If it's a startup, whether it's sponsors, whether it's not, it was more around like, hey, I'm really looking for mentorship here and guidance. But with
Mm.
LinkedIn, when I reach out to people, it's definitely around like, okay, either I want to learn from you because this is where this job is super interesting. I want to know insights about how PM is because it can be different at different companies. Um, or sometimes I also directly ask for a referral. You really need to balance both, Yudi. Like we're not living in that.
Yeah, yeah. If I think the line is that if you find a hiring manager who have posted that, hey, I'm looking for this position, then they're not there to
Yeah.
entertain you like a coffee chat and all that. Like you need to be direct to them, like,
Yep.
hey, I saw your post, and here's how I fit the position, and I would love to talk to you about this. Versus when you're reaching out to alumni and trying to build this long term relationship, that's where you don't want to like then say like, hey, I want to can you refer me.
Mhm.
That's where you want to like talk to them and understand the journey. So yeah, that's kind of that
Yeah.
line you will have to balance it out.
Initially I was shy, but then I realized that in America, being shy doesn't work. It doesn't get you anywhere.
Yeah.
Like you need to be
No.
aggressive in a nice tone. I don't mean it in a negative way. You need to be
Yeah,
aggressive, as
yeah.
in you need to go for things that you want. You need to be able to
Mm,
ask people that, hey, I saw this position, and I think I my profile matches it. This is why. Like I have so and so experience, I have technical background, blah blah blah. I would love to.
mm,
Would you be opposed for a 15-minute call? And so,
mm,
so sometimes it's also about framing. I actually learned this from my friend
mm.
Kathy.
It's
She,
a sales tactic. Yeah.
yeah. So when you ask people, especially when you have that commonality, that would you be opposed? It's like nobody wants to be the bad guy, right? Why would somebody be opposed for a 15-minute call if we're both from the same college? So I think, yeah, psychology, everything, yeah, comes into
Yeah,
play.
yeah, and again, I mean, of course, I deal with a lot of vendors and relationship in my job. So if they say like, no, I'm busy, and it's like, okay, then you need to provide them option like the and the option should never be no. Like, does like this is again another sales tactic. You say like, does this or this work during this time or this time, and so they have to like you're like giving them option to pick one or the other but not like so
Yeah,
anyway like
yeah.
I think I can like talk about this forever. so so let's dive into how did you get that USAA job, like what was the process, like is it pure cold application you did and then they liked it and that's how you got the interview call?
It was an application that I did. I still remember the date, November 14th or something. I mean, I don't remember the date because I applied. I remember it because I
Mm,
got the job, and then I eventually like
mm,
delved into. Oh wait, where did I actually apply? So that's how I remember it. I applied on November 14th or something, mid-November, cold application, just after
mm,
depressing rejection. A little bit of backstory: I interviewed with Realtor.com back in October to November-ish.
mm,
Started October first week. It took me all the way
mm,
to November first week, and then they dumped me. But I still think that
mm,
they're an amazing team, and I still kept in touch with the recruiters, and because the product team there is pretty good.
mm,
But that was my actual first sort of like being in the actual product rounds, going from hiring
mm,
manager round to like product panel where I'm sitting with a principal PM, a senior PM, and then talking to an engineer and then a designer, and then finally with the panel.
mm,
But
mm.
right after that, I was disappointed. I took like a week or two just to like sob and be in my fields and feel the feels, and then
Mm,
I
mm.
applied just random.
Talk about that a little bit more. Like, so
Yeah.
you obviously you had an expectation that like I made it to the final round.
Mm,
Like you were like hoping
mhm.
because again you are past that 90 days of unemployed. So we should
Yeah.
talk about like how did you stop that, but then also what was like how did you cope up with it, like you got the rejection but then how did you cope up and then got back and it's like okay I need to get back to like looking for job.
I just kind of feel like I want to hug that Rahul there who was lost, who was just
Mm,
like, felt so disheartened. But to first question, I stopped my OPT with a volunteering opportunity, like part-time volunteering opportunity with a company called Whirl. This was a company that I got to know about in my design thinking class when I was at Duke. A local startup based out of Raleigh, in NC, pretty close to my college in Durham. And I was able to talk to to the founder there. She's pretty sweet, and we figured out a way for me to like contribute and provide value to them. They're
mm,
still in like
mm,
pre-product market fit
mm,
phase with respect
mm,
to the
mm.
product they want to launch. So I
Yeah.
still help them with discovery efforts, customer discovery, and trying to actually find the PMF. But besides that, the next question around coping up, once I got my actual first rejection in corporate America, it was hard, not gonna lie. I feel like Yudi, I can like go on and I can write a book about it, but what I really want to say is we're humans. I'm sorry. We're humans, and so we live. I think hope is in our DNA. Any
Mm-hmm.
sign that we see, any light we see when we are in the dark, we believe that we're gonna go there.
Mm,
I think that's
mm,
how most of us are wired, and I am very
mm,
optimistic person. That I get the positive thinking. I'm always like, yeah, I always look the glass half full.
mm,
So naturally, I was expecting that I was gonna make it because I made it through like 5 rounds, maybe
mm,
like screening
mm,
call, the first round with the director of product, and then the product panel, and then like engineering manager, and then designer. Like
mm.
5 6 rounds. I'm sorry, Mac does
Yeah,
that.
it's all, it's all good. Yeah.
And final round was a panel round, and at that point, it got to me so much that I had too much pressure built up that like
Mm,
it was almost like do or die. I really need to do this.
mm. So do you feel like you bombed that interview or like what happened?
I feel like the nerves got the best of me. Like if you give that back to me right now, I think I would have handled it so much better. Maybe because it was
Mm,
like three people back to back questioning me. I had a presentation round, and then they were just questioning to me.
mm,
I could not see their faces. I should have kept picture in picture mode when I was doing the interview. I am that kind of person
mm,
that does not like talking to a void. So imagine me
mm,
presenting but not able to see your
mm,
face. If I had that mode, I
mm.
would be able to still see your thumbnail, like your face when I'm still on my
Yeah,
presentation. Maybe
yeah,
all these little things
yeah.
can really make a bigger difference.
And that's what I was gonna just point out, like that like these are the subtle nuances which people should keep in mind, like when they are interviewing, because like what you just said, I have done presentation round as well, and yeah, it's game changer when they are nodding, their expression, like it helps you kind of realize like, am I going in the right direction, like are they listening to me, like
Mhm.
like this is like non-verbal cues that you can pick up on, unless if you're not picking on top that, you don't know how it's going. So yeah, that's a good
Exactly.
point.
And so when they were questioning, I really couldn't see their expressions. Are they coming from a place of doubt or curiosity? It makes a ton of difference for me when I look at you face to face and talk to
Mm,
you, whether I need to modify the way I deliver content, whether I need to wait, and things
mm,
like that. So I felt
mm,
like because I was nervous, I was like jumping quicker and quicker and quicker. I was not really paying attention to them. I
mm,
probably didn't ask them enough questions, but
mm,
which is why I got the feedback that, your recommendations were good, but you should have done more work and analysis, like before you even jumped onto solutions. So,
oh, that's sweet, like they actually gave you the
of
feedback.
course, yeah, they were. I felt like they kind of had to because they kept leading me on to win a way. I think that's
Mm.
where the recruiters, where I think they genuinely want you to succeed, but at the end of the day,
Yeah, yeah. Recruiters, like, I mean, their job is to close a position, right? Like that. That's so they are working for you, not against you. And
yeah,
so once you pass couple rounds like that, they want to make sure that they can get you, like you, the position. So, but yeah, like you, like it's good that they give you this feedback, because when I was interviewing and when I got rejected in the final round, I mean, this depends on recruiters and companies, policies, and all of that. But I was told like, you were great, but they just found a better candidate than you. But they didn't give me like a specific feedback in terms of like what was something that would have made me better than the other candidate. So it's good that they did give you that feedback. Like you should have spent more time on analysis, etc.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then I was in car and I was like, I was in my fields, I was crying, and my cousin was like,
Mm,
what happened? Is it, you don't have to.
mm,
So I'm glad to
mm,
have had their support through the process.
mm,
But
mm,
Yuri, like looking back at it right now, I'm glad it happened. I'm glad the interviews actually happened because
mm,
without them, I wouldn't have had the confidence to go on to my next
mm.
rounds. I wouldn't
Mm.
be as bold as I'm sounding maybe today.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's why they say success doesn't teach you anything. Failure is a better teacher than success. So,
Yep. Though it was not a desired outcome, I think I got to know that I am desirable, which is why they kept moving me from round to round to round to round.
Yeah.
And I've
Yeah.
never in my life had an actual interview with the director of product before that. So I was like,
Mm. Mm.
if I'm able to convince
Yeah.
them, then that's a good
Yeah.
sign.
And I'm sorry, like I'm asking you, like if you cried or not. Like I was not trying to make fun of you.
No, it's okay.
Like I was just trying to paint the picture for people, if they're watching from India, or like from wherever they're watching from. uh, b- Not like on Instagram and on like YouTube, people
Oh,
don't show that they are crying, and they're lonely and they're facing rejection. They only show they have Tesla and they are going on this amazing trip. So that's why I asked you that question, because so people know like this is going to happen to them.
yeah,
It's just part of the story, and it's going to help you grow. So it's like, I'm not saying like don't come, I'm just saying like come with this expectation.
for sure, Yudi. Honestly, I again have spoken with my other peers about how Instagram is. More recently, actually, I certainly changed my perception of Instagram or social apps in general, where everybody's just painting a persona of themselves that's usually in a happy emotion. Um, it's cool, it's nice, but but it's not reality, and it's not just the reality. Reality has so much more beyond that. So if you look at my Instagram feed, the last post that you would see is back in Jan. Kind of stopped posting. I kind of stopped sharing so much because I don't know, the same reason. Like, I don't want people to think, my friends in India, to be like, oh, this guy's life is amazing. He's enjoying. Honey, that's just one side of the picture. There's times when I don't know, like I just
Yeah, yeah,
pray
like
and hope that it's
people are
better.
saying the best part of your life, not the worst part of life, right? So
Yep,
yeah, yeah.
agree with you.
This conversation is so amazing. Like I feel like it's so raw and like real. It's
Yeah.
like I mean, we're just two friends talking about life in United States and the struggles, and so it's amazing. Sorry, sorry. So you process the grief like in a way of like not getting the job, and then you moved on, and then you're like, okay, I'm gonna keep applying. USAA happened, you made it. Like what was the process for them? Same process or was it different?
S- Uh, so it was actually a different hiring process. Like I
Mm,
applied for the job in November, of mid-November. I got back from them maybe December 7th or 8th, I guess.
mm,
So
mm,
they took sweet, like, 3 weeks to come back to me.
mm, mm,
Here's one thing for students who are applying to jobs. LinkedIn has a filter where you can, choose applications that were posted in the last 24 hours, for example, or maybe under
mm.
10
Yeah.
applications. I distinctly remember even till now when I was applying to USAA, the application count was maybe in like 25s. So I still am like on the top of the stack if you look at the number of resumes that was submitted. Probably a reason why it got picked. I feel like everybody is capable. Is nothing is a sign of where your interviews or your callbacks are not a sign of whether you're capable or not. It's just that so many people are out there right now that can everyone do the job if we're given, but but this is where you need to strategically sometimes increase your chances by applying sooner, um, or having a
Mm,
warm intro and things like that. But yeah, my journey, I applied, I got my call back end of first week, December 7th or 8th. And then he was so quick. He said that the hiring team has already looked at your profile, so pretty
mm,
much the screening is done, as in like they're interested to talk to you. And he went into the specifics of the offer, gave the
mm,
information about the salary and things like that, to get
mm,
to make sure that we're aligned on that. Of course, I was saying yes to everything because the market was like that. And for me, it was like, let people see me and give me an offer, and then we'll think about everything else.
mm,
So yeah, he was very quick. I think the first call got scheduled on December 12th or 11th.
mm,
Um, and this is where I say USA was different, is that the first round was a panel round directly, without having to
mm.
make it like a hit.
Talk to like
Yeah,
yeah,
without
yeah.
having to make it like, oh, one-on-one with hiring manager and then like one-on-one with teammates or a
Mm,
panel, blah. No, they just made it. They got the hiring manager who was a director PM, and then we had um, portfolio product manager who was also pretty senior, and he was having like 6 product groups working under him, something, 6 products. And then we had maybe senior PMs or something. So in total, I had four people there in the panel. So everybody is product only, um, but the team that I would
Mm,
be working in. Uh,
mm,
yeah, and then the round finished. 1 hour round. Everybody's got the chance to ask their questions. Um, After that, the second round was also immediately the next week.
mm.
That was
Yeah,
all
they probably wanted to close it before Christmas. That's my guess, but yeah.
exactly. They wanted to close it before Christmas. So the second round also happened with four people, but this time the
Mm,
hiring manager was the common one. The rest of the three were new
mm,
people. We had an engineering
mm,
manager. Um,
mm,
Besides that, another PM who was more
mm,
junior that I'd be working with
mm,
directly, and another senior PM or somebody
mm,
on the team. So again, we had those people, and yeah, I think the round concluded around 2 p.m. and the hiring manager was like, "Yeah, Rahul, we're gonna get back. We still have like two more people that we have to do, or something like that. We'll get back to you at most, maybe next week or at max first week of Jan." But you won't believe, within like 3-ish hours, I'm sitting there, I'm just like reading a book, and I get a call back from the recruiter. I thought maybe, I don't know if I had to expect good news or not. She was like, "Hey, the hiring manager wants to offer you the job. She really liked you."
mm, mm,
And then she went into the specifics of the salary, and she was like, she actually wants you to offer 20% more than what you settled on. And I was like,
mm,
okay, that's. I
mm.
mean,
That says, yeah, they really like you. Yeah.
that kind of says that they really like me. If they really had to interview still somebody else, and the fact that they had to forego them and just directly settle down, I think, I was like, that's fantastic. It was the first time in America I was ever hearing those words, that we'd like to offer you this job.
More. Yeah. Yeah.
And that was like the moment when, yeah, this was probably the highest of highs that I felt. I was jumping up and down. My cousins were busy downstairs with the realtor and everything, so I couldn't
Mm,
obviously interrupt them. But I was having my moment. Yeah, it's one of the happiest
mm,
moments where I was like, "Oh my
mm,
God,
mm,
like I am
mm,
hireable." That was the first time I got to
mm,
know. Because in India, I
mm,
worked for peanuts. In America, when somebody was offering me what they offered, I was like, okay, like,
mm. What's the salary range? What's the salary range for the PMs?
yeah, the salary range would be between 90 to like 120K.
Mm, nice. Okay. Yeah, and of course, then it depends on the, like, if you are like working for TikTok or Meta or
Yeah.
FANG companies, and then
Yeah.
also like Bay Area versus like other cities, etc. So, yeah. Okay. And so from timeline wise, you worked there for 2 years, and then you were let go, and
two
now you're
months.
back in the. Oh, sorry, 2 months. Sorry, 2 months.
I wish I worked there
And
for 2 years. It's just 2 months. Yeah.
sorry, yes. And so now you are back in job hunting mode. What are you doing differently? And like, how's your job hunting going right now?
Yeah. No, season two, of my job hunting, if I had to have my
Mm,
own
mm,
series.
yes.
But
Yeah. That's
it
one
would
of my goals is like once I if someone can fund me, I would like to make documentaries and web series of like stories like yours.
honestly,
But
yeah, imagine this what we're having, but like in person in a studio. I think that would be like an elevated experience for
yes,
everyone.
absolutely.
But
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
love that. Maybe hopefully it happens someday.
Yeah. Yes.
I was gonna say that, yeah,
Mm.
Yuri, like, though I had experience before, I had some learnings around what was working, what was not. It's hard. Like, we're humans. I am not a machine. I am not ChatGPT to just like roll my sleeves back and like come back from day one. Um, I was lost, to be honest. I was looking
I
at
mean, this is also your first time letting go experience, right? Like
Yeah,
you probably didn't even expected that this is going to happen. Like I'm guessing that I don't know if you had like enough notice or not, but usually people don't know, and they wake up and they can't log in, and or like if you're in office, then you're like there, and then within some, like someone will come up to you and it's like, all right, we need to go into the office room. They take you in the office room, and then there's like HR is there, and you know it right then, and then you can't even touch your computer after that because you're logged out, and you take your stuff and then you move out of the building. Remote obviously is different, but
that's
like
exactly what
that's
happened to me in person. It was a Friday morning, not the news I was
mm,
hoping for on a Friday. I went into the office. The previous day, I had a fantastic one-on-one with my manager, where
mm,
she said, "Rahul, you're doing amazing. The team has given me really good feedback because you helped so and so folks. It was not under my tasks. I just wanted to like build relationships. I was trying to like help people where I could, also to learn, things around the team." And she was like, "I want you to own the roadmap by the end of this year, and then we have our Q2 plannings and things like that." And the immediate next day was Friday when it was. Um, I wasn't sure why again one-on-one was scheduled, but like you said, I went in, got the news, and then I had to leave everything. Uh, yeah, it was probably the lowest moments for me when I was like, "What next?" Literally, I was literally like, "What next?" On an F1 visa. As soon as walked out, the first person I called was my friend Kathy, who is working with this startup called World, the one that I used to
mm,
stop my clock.
mm,
And
mm,
then I was able to get in touch with Tasha, who is the founder
mm,
of World. Shout out to her too. Honestly, that day, if it wasn't her, I don't know how it would have like healed. She's a therapist too, which is why she's creating
mm,
this platform for healthcare workers to address burnout. Um,
mm,
and she's
mm,
a black woman from America, proud. And she gave me that day. She was like, "Rahul, welcome to corporate America. Don't let this,
mm,
stop you. Don't let this take the spark from you. Always keep your chin
mm,
up and move forward." And
mm,
she kind of gave me perspective of the intricacies of how it's not
mm,
just difficult for immigrants but also for black people, like she gave me certain instances of her life where she faced things, and
mm,
just before
mm,
she was gonna know that she was being letting go of, she was the one that actually said, "I'm quitting." So
mm,
it's funny, but she really helped me that day, and she was like, "Anything that I can do for you." This is why I say building relationships is important in America. Had it not
yes,
been
yeah,
her, I would have, I'm first of all like processing my own traumatic experience. And to, on top of that, to think, "Oh my God, like, how do I stop my days?" That's a big thing. If I did not have that relationship with her, I would have to like spend a couple of days searching for other NGOs or nonprofits and all of that. Because I had that bond with her, it was as simple as a call, and she was like, "What can I do?" Like, and then I stopped my clock.
mm,
So yeah,
mm.
you need people to be your advocates here, I think. In the
Yeah, and a friend to talk through your feelings as well. Like yeah, like if you didn't have network, if you didn't have relationships, like who are you gonna share all of this and like so like, and at this point, like even like, do you want to tell your parents, like how close are you with your parents? Will they understand now, or will they take more stress that, oh my gosh, like this is gonna happen? So
Yeah, it was so difficult, man. Like, obviously, I had to call my cousins because I stayed with them for the last 6 months, and I was pretty much sharing everything with them in terms of what's
mm,
happening. So, and here's one more thing: like, I don't think keeping everything yourself is a good idea because
no,
you
yeah,
don't want to fill your bottle too much that you're gonna pop out. Um, I think it takes time. Like you don't have to tell everything to everyone on day one. When it happens, you need time for yourself. Eventually, I realized that I was relieved when I spoke about this to the people that mattered to me and that cared for me, my mom, my cousins. Yeah, I think
mm,
it's a personal
mm,
journey that everybody goes through. It's different
yeah,
the way I
yeah.
deal with it.
Yeah,
or the,
yeah, amazing. So how's the job hunting like
yeah.
what are the things that you've like now learned from this last 1 year, like you're implementing is like, okay, this is how now I'm doing it.
It's mostly not relying as much on direct applications, Yuri. Like I still do it when I don't know anybody else.
Mm,
When I say I don't do it, it does not mean I don't ever submit it. I do submit it, but I don't look at it as like, hey, I need to like click 20 submits today to feel like I did my job. The way I see it now is really quality versus quantity.
mm,
How can I
mm,
get warm intros from people
mm,
that can directly send my CV to the hiring manager and be like, hey, this guy is interested to apply, because that yields more interviews
yes.
than the chances of you getting a recruiter call from a direct application.
100%.
When I say don't apply, don't say that never apply. No, still do. Like I still apply sometimes. And today I had a recruiter screening call, which was a position I applied in April on April 9th. Can you believe? Like I forgot about it,
Mm, mm,
and I had my first recruiter call today. So it
mm,
still works, but I think it really is about balancing that time.
mm,
I feel like
mm,
today I'm spending more time looking for jobs where people are saying that, hey, like my team is hiring, whether that's on LinkedIn or Slack communities or with my peers or connections that I already have. When I'm talking to
mm,
these people, I try to sometimes keep a track of who I'm talking to on an Excel sheet, and sometimes I go back and like check their careers page and see if there's something nice there, so I could like then shoot an email and be like, hey, how's it going? It's been a while since we spoke, but I came across this position. Would you be able to
mm.
refer me and or share my profile with the hiring manager? Also, one more insight that I learned is maybe referrals in 2021 or 2020 were really like directly leading up to interviews. Today, that's not the case too. I've had many people that put like system referrals that really
Yeah,
did not even lead anywhere. Like I got rejection
yeah.
emails after that. So that's why I say share, would you be able to share my profile with the hiring team or recruiter? The human side of it is really what I think
Yes, yeah,
gets the
100%.
eyes. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Well, okay. But again, I don't have words for expressing how vulnerable you were on this podcast, and then like how grateful I am for sharing what you shared today. But good luck. I'm rooting for you. Hopefully, by the time this podcast goes live, maybe you have an offer, and the people will be like, "Wait a minute, you said like you don't, but you do." So hopefully that happens, and I'll keep my eyes open for you as well. And if you come across something and you need my help, like feel free to reach out as well. But again, this is very valuable for people who are planning to come, who are here. Hopefully they can relate to what you just said, and they can like keep their hopes up and not give up. I think that's the message I would say, and just keep going. Like
Yeah.
it's not gonna be like easy, but it's like it's not the end, it's not the end. So
That's right, Yudi. I think we all need that, one person or somebody to take a chance on us. And honestly, just because I had a job does not mean that I'm still like, I've been looking for close to like 4 or 5 months now, and I'm still out there. Like I had this week, I had um, two companies that I went to final rounds and I was rejected like yesterday. And I think if one thing you learn through this experience is that they don't hurt you as much as they did initially. And I think you kind of, I don't know if it's for the good or bad, you kind of become slightly numb, and sort of the time to recovery, if that's a metric, it's so much faster now than like
mm,
when it happens in the beginning. I think that's a good thing in life though, because failure is inevitable wherever you're going, whatever path you're doing. So I would say just good luck and keep at it to anyone that's watching this. I am going through it as you are. Um, yeah,
again, thank you, Rahul, for doing this. Really means a lot, and I can't wait to do another one with you until our next one.
keep smiling and keep hustling.
Nice, cool.